Hello, welcome back to the channel. In the last video, I took you guys on a trip to look at an older John Deere tractor, industrial tractor that had been converted to a farm tractor. We met Harold and his grandson Jeffrey, who were very informative about the tractor and very helpful in getting information and the history of the tractor across to me and sharing that information with me. That last video I left in kind of a cliffhanger state, and it's been quite a surprise at the responses from the comments in that video, and people a bit anxious about what happened. So stick with me today, and we're going to find out what was the outcome of that situation, and also preview some things we have coming up. Stay tuned. Okay, I made it to the homestead. It's a nice Friday afternoon here, but I know you guys are waiting to find out what happened with the tractor last week. The tractor itself had some problems. It had a minor hydraulic leak. The tires were a little bald on it and whatnot, but not anything major. But those are the points you use for negotiation when you are buying a used piece of equipment, or anything used for that matter. You use that wiggle room to kind of negotiate your price, which is what I did. So without further ado, I'd like to let you guys in on a little secret, which is not so much of a secret, that we did buy the tractor. And there she is in all of her glory. It's a 1970 John Deere 400. And I mentioned several times in the last video that the sister tractor to these guys was a 2630, and that was completely incorrect. I tried to correct myself on the captions, the closed captions on the video, but some people still thought they should point that out, which is not a problem. The sister tractor for this guy or this lady is a 2020 John Deere. Same, basically the same tractor. This was the industrial model, and the 2020 was the dedicated farm model. For those of you who've been around or following us for a while, understand or can gather that we like history. We try to infuse a little bit of history in everything that we do, from the way our litters are themed and named. The puppies that in that litter have significant names, like we did with the Buffalo Soldiers and the Pharaohs recently. And that's something we try to keep moving throughout everything we do. With that in mind, I've decided to kind of keep that going with our heavy equipment that we bring on the property and purchase. And as most guys do, we always name our equipment after females, women. So I decided to keep that in vein, but keep a little bit of historical reference. So going forward, our heavy equipment will have some female monikers. For the most part, giving some sort of historical reference or historical significance. For this tractor, I decided to start off a little bit light, but someone who's significant nonetheless, and that would be Miss Dorothy Dandridge. Dorothy Dandridge was a famous actor and singer and performer back in the 50s, 40s and 50s, I believe, and she's remembered mostly, I guess, or most famously for her being the first African-American woman nominated for an Academy Award or an Oscar for her performance in Carmen Jones. So, with that in mind, I am going to christen this tractor Dorothy Jean Dandridge. So from now on, when I talk about Dorothy Jean, this is who I'm talking about. So we refer to her from now on, henceforth and forevermore, as Dorothy Jean. Now, some people may not like that, or they may think it's kind of corny or whatever, but it's kind of something to give interest and, personalities to the machinery and whatnot. I think it just adds a little bit of character and flavor to them. Every one of these things, especially the older they get, they always have their own temperaments. They don't start the same way. They don't they don't run the same way. They just get cranky and crotchety. So it's nice to have some sort of name to go along with, and that kind of identifies them, just like we do with the dogs. They all have different attitudes and behavior, and we try to incorporate that in everything we do with them. So yes, that is officially now Miss Dorothy Jean Dandridge, and we'll refer to her as Dorothy Jean. Again, she's a John Deere 400 on a 1970 vintage, 59 horsepower, 540 PTO. As I mentioned, she had a small hydraulic leak that Harold and Jeffrey were so gracious to fix for me. And I'm not quite sure how well they fixed it. The hydraulics do work, but I seen a small trickle on the side just a moment ago, so not really sure. But it's part of being on a farm or working property and having heavy equipment. There's always something to fix. That's why it's good to have more than one, as I mentioned in the last video. So we'll still be looking for another tractor to accompany Dorothy in the garage or in the shed, whichever one we want to call it. But the good news is we have Dorothy now. Dorothy's going to help us tame a lot of this stuff around here that's been unkept for a while. I already got the brush hog hooked to the back, and I plan to start off using her in the pasture out on the other side of the property, start clearing that out. You may notice some of the trees behind Dorothy are missing now. We had a couple timber companies come out here and clear out some of the property so we can start utilizing some land that has been unattended or unkept for a long time now. So we're reclaiming that, and we'll be using it for various purposes on the farm. So that's basically it. We brought home Miss Dorothy, and she's settling in well. We're going to put her right to work. I do like the paint job that Harold and Jeffrey put on it, so I'm going to try to preserve that as much as possible. Not abusing her. You should never abuse your equipment anyway, because if you do, it will let you down. So I'm an advocate of keeping your equipment clean and maintained, which we'll be doing so. Besides, these tractors are too expensive to replace, so you don't want to do that either. So let me know in the comments below and how you feel about Dorothy and what about the name and everything about her, or any feedback you have. And I appreciate the feedback we got on the first video. You guys were very supportive, informative, and educational as well. So we really appreciate that. Just keep the comments coming, as well as on this video. If you missed the first one, part 1, I'll link it in this video as well. So you can go back and watch that. But the cat's out of the bag if you're watching this video first, because you'll see that Dorothy's here. So we will have plenty of videos going forward that feature Dorothy and the work that we'll be doing with Dorothy around the homestead here. So please remember to like and subscribe if you enjoy this type of content. Also hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when we post new videos, including those with Dorothy. Until next time, see you in the next video.